like Mr. Sewell kind of handles like a more construction welding side of ag. And Ms. Campbell kind of deals with Stevenson, excuse me, kind of deals with the animal science piece of it. And then you've got Ms. Waller that's dealing with the agricultural piece of it, like with greenhouse and growing and floral design and whatnot. But everybody kind of they bring a different piece of it to the table. Kind of the same with like family consumer science. We have 5 family consumer science teachers at Great Crossing High School. I promise you, nobody in the state of Kentucky has 5 teachers in that particular department. We continue growing and evolving at Great Crossing, as exampled by, we started out with business and IT upstairs with the Hancocks. Now that has transitioned into the addition of Mr. Wright with CAD and like 3D printing and how that kind of connects to that. So for me, we're listening to students and we're seeking like student input with like interest levels. We want to keep it a little tight because we are like, don't want to keep branching out. We can't keep branching out, but we've got to consider the pieces of our particular CTE departments, ag, IT, FACS, that all may be changing with time because we want to ensure that it's applicable to the needs of what is happening in the world today. And so for me, just keeping up with things that are happening out in the world, ensuring that we are maintaining pathways that have high demand certifications that students can leave out of here, because I don't want to give you a certification that is really meaningless out in the world. We want that certification to mean something when you go out in the world and you're seeking a job, and knowing that there are jobs out there for you to receive because of that intensive certification that you received at Great Crossing High School.
Yeah, I think all of that is just a direct result of really listening to the students, having all these, specific things that students can learn about is just because you're listening to them and noticing what they need.
And through agriculture, I feel like there are so many ways that you could, I guess, have a job or have an opportunity to have a job. Agriculture has so many branches, kind of how the CTE programs are.
Well, and one other thing too, I think it's important to note that so many times I am seeing cross-curricular collaborations between our CTE departments where ag is working with culinary, or ag is working with welding, or ag is working with IT, and how those jobs like legitimately are relative out in the world where farmers are using technology to farm and calculate seed delivery, or which way we should be, which ways, things are facing the sun and how we need to line these things up, and automation and all the ways that technology is pushing agriculture forward. I feel like all of those conversations are happening at Great Crossing High School, and we're seeing small projects building into bigger things. And I just think that that's just a really cool way to collaborate and show students different levels of collaboration within the high school.
You stated before that you didn't know much about ag and FFA before becoming a principal and seeing those things at your school. So how have you personally been impacted by the presence of these programs at your school, and is there anything important that you've kind of taken away from it?
So I'm going to say this, as I'm a city girl. I grew up in the middle of the city, but my family, and I don't know if you and I have ever had this conversation before, but all of my family is from the Cynthiana area. Mm-hmm. So all my people were farmers in Cynthiana before my family started back in the late 50s, 60s, moving north with the industrial, following the war, following industry up 75 and moving into the Ohio area. But farming is the root of where my family came from. And it's just so interesting to me that I end up back in Scott County so close to my family's roots. My dad thinks it's the funniest thing ever. For me, FFA and ag have been a really cool awakening for me to be a part of and just spend time with you all and understand more about the program. I think had I known, and I've said this before, had I known then what I know now, it would have absolutely been something I was interested in, because all of the things focusing on public speaking, on leadership, on working together, on understanding your roles as in a leadership role. I mean, there's a big difference between being an assistant principal and being a principal. But if you were part of FFA, you would understand that, because everyone has a role and responsibilities, and you refine your responsibilities for the betterment of the group. And I feel like that just watching you all go through that process through your meetings and parliamentary procedure and all the things, like it has been really cool for me to understand that, like, gosh, and I encourage kids, like, hey, if this is something that, if this is your jam, you need to check out FFA. This might be something, and some kids might look at me and go, oh, I don't know about Miss Lesby, that might not be for me. And I'm like, you think it's just about farming? That's not what it's all about. It's about a lot of things. At the end of the day, they may teach you how to live on the land or live out of a pot in your backyard to be able to sustain your family, even if it creates a small bit of food production for your personal home. It's still an opportunity to invest in knowledge and better yourself as a person, a public speaker, someone that works in a group, how you contribute to a group. And for me, that's just like a big thing that just connects globally. If I can make a difference here and I can make a difference in my home, I'm making an example for someone else. You've had a sister that went here. I've not only had you here, I've had your sister here, and and I've walked through. I was at Scott County High School the day she was dropped off by your mom. At Scott County High School, her very first day of school. That's how long I've been around your family. So think about the impact that I'm having on you all, just continuing to support you, continuing to say, I want to be part of this, continuing to say, this is a really cool thing, going out to middle schools and talking about ag and other CTE pathways, building momentum for students to arrive at Gret Crossing High School and know that it's not just one opportunity, it's multiple opportunities. And you don't have to be you don't have to be an FFA to be a part of something. There are other specific organizations that are connected with other CTE pathways that offer the same type of skill sets and leadership and just kind of human development or social development as you're developing as a high school student. To me, my teenage years were the most awkward time in my life, and I feel like you all have a level of support within these organizations that gives you more than what I feel like a normal person receives, and that can do nothing but help you move forward. So I'm a big fan of FFA. I'm a big fan of CTE, and I'm just firmly believe that Gret Crossing High School continues to do great things, building our community, building our school, and helping our students evolve into being much more productive citizens after they graduate.
Kind of going back to the first thing you said about like the diverse skill set you get from being in an organization like this. I do law at ECS, so like the path I'm going on is a little bit different from agriculture, but I'm still learning so many great skills through FFA that are helping me in my law class and just in everyday life. So I think it's really great that we have all these teachers to really help instill those things in us.
And the other piece of it is you're still going to use some of the skills from ag and FFA, even if it's just at your personal home upon graduation or after you graduate from college. It may be putting food on your table for your family at some point, but you've learned something and you've learned a lifelong skill set that's always going to be with you. And I think that's so cool.
We're so grateful to have you on our podcast today and just hear all you have to say about CTE and the ag and FFA program. And we're just so glad to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you all asking me to be part of your podcast, and invite me back. I'll be here.
Oh, we will for sure.
Good deal. Good deal.
If you or anyone you know have been watching the news here recently, you would see that the whole entire state of Kentucky is underwater right now.
So please keep all of your thoughts and prayers on the people who have lost their homes or their families.
If there's anything that us as a podcast could do to help you or your family, please reach out to us in any way. So thankful that you guys sit down and watch the podcast with us today.
So catch us back next week on
Just Talkin' Ag.